Hey Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna today, back to share with you another layout for guest designing for Bella Blvd, and I am using the Island Escape collection this time, and this is the beautiful collection packet there, and with that collection I am going to create this particular layout with some mixed media and some of those lovely large die cut elements that are in the collection. So to start with, I'm going to use some watercolor paper that I've trimmed down to 12 by 12, and I have this digital cut file that I created using some palm fronds, and I am going to use the sticky of the fronds and stick them back into the negative of the digital cut file and create a circle there that I'll then lift up that negative in order to leave the circles there so that I can create a clear background to which watercolor over. So I'm going to put all those fronds down, and I'm going to take that Versamark pad once the fronds are in a circle, and I'm going to just rub that Versamark pad, actually more than rubbing it, because I didn't adhere them down too well. I should have probably have used some temporary adhesive. I'm just going to dab the Versamark pad and get the Versamark onto the watercolor paper so that I leave the negative of the fronds in order to be able to color them with watercolor. So I'm just going to tap that color down, lift it up, and then use some clear embossing powder and sprinkle that onto the Versamark. And then I will use my heat gun to heat that up, which I will actually omit and save you the agony of having to watch that, because it takes a very long time on this very large 12 by 12 piece of paper in order to really set that properly and create the background. Now, unfortunately, the background ends up being not quite as white as I would like. I would have loved it to have been on a crisp white background. However, it's really hard to find true white watercolor paper, and the heating too, as well with the heat gun, also discolors the paper somewhat and makes that a little bit harder to do. So you can see here, and I will fast forward through this, that I'm just going to heat set that. And so what that's going to do is it's going to leave a clear border around the outside of each of those fronds so that I can go in and add some watercolor to create a fun background to this tropical themed layout. So I have my Jane Davenport watercolors, and first I'm going to just take a huge brush and put a water layer, just clear water, clean water down first in order to sort of prime the paper. And then I'm going to take my watercolor from Jane Davenport, and I'm going to add in just a little bit of yellow just for some variety and kind of some variegation, and then some greens and blues and different hues of greens, and just rub that over, and you can see how the palm frond pops from that. I was inspired by a layout by Gia from Click Kits. Is something that she did as one of her layouts, and this is the inspiration for what I did with my watercolor background here. So again, just different variations of green, and that created a fun background. Now, if I wanted to, I could have taken a paper towel and I could have dabbed up the excess color, but I actually liked the color that was outside of the palm fronds as well. So that just added a little more interest to the page, as well as some more color to the page as well. I toyed with the idea of backing this, but it really didn't need it. I really wanted the mixed media to stand out on its own. So that is the background. I'm going to need to let that dry for a little while, and now I'm going to come back with that Island Escape collection. These are pictures of my son on a trip to Clearwater, Florida last year. We were on a swim trip. Why else would we be in Florida? And we were lucky enough to get a few hours at the beach. So I'm going to take the cut apart cards, as I am wanting to do, and as you have seen me do on the other previous two layouts that I shared with you earlier this week, and I'm going to use the outline of those cut apart cards and then cut out the words so that I can use them for something else. But first I'm going to use that 4x6 and use that as the main photo block to put the backed photos on top of, because I really liked that floral and how that floral sort of pulled everything together. And you will hear me say frequently in my videos that I like a piece of pattern paper that unifies all the colors and draws everything in together. So before I figure out quite how those paper layers are going to go, I want to figure out how I'm going to layer these bold tropical die cut elements. I wanted color in amongst the green, and so I knew I wanted to create a sort of a floral cluster, trying to incorporate the yellows, the pinks, and just a little bit of blue to make that sky in the pictures pop. So you can see I used those really big florals as well as some of the other elements. That was too much, really. It could have worked there, but by putting that really big palm frond that is the die cut, it was taking away from the fronds that I had created myself in that circular pattern there. I will come back to that pink die cut, and I will actually end up using that poking out of the right-hand side of the photo to just kind of take up some of that white space in there, as you can see there. So that is what I end up using for the die cuts. I use quite a good chunk of them actually. And then I am going to take a look at some of these chipboard pieces and see if I can incorporate them. I knew I wanted to use that sun and surf as the title, but I also knew I wanted to pop one of the pictures. Often when I have two pictures, I like to create some movement on the page, and by popping one of the pictures, I am able to do that. So I'm going to just pop the top picture and back that with some fun foam, and then layer up the picture with the outsides of those cut aparts and that floral paper that is there. And it's really more tropical than floral. So to get into these, I just use my X-Acto blade to poke a hole, and then just use my scissors to sort of trim around, and that creates a nice border and allows me to still use the innards. I don't actually use the innards on either of those on this particular page, but I will use one of them, I believe, on the page that I will share with you probably early next week. Over on the Bella Blvd blog, both of my Island Escape layouts are up on the blog if you want to see those, but the video that is going to accompany the second layout will be early next week. So I want to use that ampersand because I knew I was going to take sun from the chipboard letters as well as surf and make the title sun and surf. So I thought that ampersand that was on the inside of that cut apart card would be perfect for that uniting part of the title there. So the top picture has a bit of a green background behind it. That bottom picture has a little bit of a navy blue picture background in it. And those darker colors framing the matting the picture just really kind of make those pictures pop against all of the color that I am putting on the layout. Now, because I want to put this flower on top of that, I also want to create a little bit of dimension. I just put that white flower on some foam. Again, that creates some layers. I really thought I was going to use some twine behind that flower there, but it doesn't end up working. So you'll see me get it ready. I think there's something about that thread. That particular thread is 100% cotton, and it doesn't tease apart as well as the polyester thread that I use for my scrapbooking. That 100% cotton was actually for some quilting that I did and didn't serve as well. It's funny how the higher quality thread doesn't work as well for some purposes. So you'll see me move that thread after I layer this up and then try and put it behind the floral cluster on the left-hand side of the photo, and then I'm just going to end up pulling it off altogether because there I am moving it, but I'm just going to pull it off altogether because it really doesn't work the way I had intended for it to work. So again, these are, I am using the Island Escape collection from Bella Blvd, which was premiered at Creativation, and I am guest designing for Bella Blvd this week. I have seen this collection. You can get it from Bella Blvd directly. I have also seen it available at scrapbook.com, I believe, and I'm not sure where else you can get it, but I know that it was released in February and it is available from a fair number of manufacturers. Not manufacturers, from suppliers. So I originally was going to put surf on top of the actual water, but it was going to cut into his feet, my son's feet. So I end up moving it and nestling it just below the floral cluster over there, so that the title kind of draws you down through the pictures with that ampersand as well, so that it says sun and surf. So that, my friends, is really the bulk of the layout. I'm just going to add a few more of the stickers and bits and pieces from the collection in to just kind of add those finishing touches. But really, I wanted the watercolor background to speak for itself and kind of be the shining elements in this layout, and I really think I accomplished that and was so pleased with the way that this background turned out. So that's one of the chipboard pieces, and I didn't need it in with the other florals, but by putting up by sun, it kind of creates that half arc C around the a C shape around the floral wreath there, and I'm going to add just a little pop more of pink for a little more bright color. And then some of the stickers, the yellow sticker says Paradise, the blue sticker says Ocean Breeze, and that little green sticker there says Fun. And the one I just stuck on the photo there is actually Ocean Breeze that I'm going to move up to that top right hand corner. I will tell you off camera, you can see actually there that I do have to put some extra adhesive on the back of the chipboard pieces because of the powder from the watercolor, from the embossing powder, and also with the watercolor. It was hard to get elements to stick, especially when they're standing upright in a page protector. So you may need to put a little bit of extra adhesive on those chipboard pieces. So that is the end of my second layout, or my first layout using Island Escape, and my second blog post for Bella Boulevard. I hope you can stop in and see what I've done over there. Thanks for popping in today. I appreciate all of your support and hope you've enjoyed these videos. Take care.